It's a new one. Just call the meeting to order. It's May the 14th, 2024, and I'd ask that either Lisa or Greg co-chair the meeting tonight.
I'll co-chair.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mo-
Motion.
Motion is carried.
I motion that we approve our agenda.
Going down through each
Okay.
of the items.
And that's the motion carried. So the first thing is we have approval of the agenda, approval of the minutes.
Okay, so we don't need to approve minutes, they were approved by council. From
Perfect.
the last property standards committee.
Do you have a disclosure of pecuniary interest? No?
Nope.
Okay. Let's see, we've approved the minutes. Is there any public input? Nope.
Pretty quiet.
Okay. Delegations and presentations? No delegations or presentations. Let's see. Staff reports and other decisions?
Thank you. Through you. Staff attended the property on March 5th in response to a property standards complaint. A violations order number 24-021, in order to remedy nonconformance with standards of maintenance and occupancy, was issued on Thursday, March 7th, 2024, with a compliance date of Friday, April 5th, 2024. A copy of the order to remedy is attached as Appendix 1. 9 photos of the deficiencies as taken on site are attached as Appendix 2. On Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, the city received a notice of appeal for violations order number 24-21, hereto attached as Appendix 3. At this time, the city is asking that the committee confirm the property standards order 24-021 with an amended compliance date of June 7th, 2024.
Can we have a motion to amend that? Those in favor?
He's just looking for more time? That's why we're
Yes.
giving it?
Yeah.
But he's never returned any of the calls back or anything?
We did receive notice yesterday that he would have trouble attending meeting today. We did provide ways to attend virtually. Today we supplied those and they have not been met. So we're not entirely sure what he would have asked for tonight, to be honest with you. But we're making the recommendation that we amend the timeline to June 7th.
I have a question. This is the first violation? There hasn't been anything else?
In relation to property standards, this is the first time that officers have attended for this owner, yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we're not sure how long this owner has owned that property.
Believe that it changed hands in between 2020 and 2021.
So at least a couple of years. And how much notice was this person given of this meeting?
I'll go through the secretary for this question.
Mr. Karuba was notified on April 12th, and an updated date was provided on April 29th by regular letter mail. We also called and left voicemails on both those days to let him know.
So you need someone to put forward the motion? I'll put it forward. That the committee confirm Property Standards Order 24-021 with an amended compliance date of June 7, 2024, with the inclusion of the water leak in the upstairs bedroom, which staff have been advised of and have a video describing the leak. Seconder?
I'm not going to second that either.
No?
No.
Okay. Discussion?
He's had more than enough time for what's there.
Well, my concern as well is it says there's a water leak. So if there's water and it's sitting until June, if there's water leak and the water's sitting until June, that's going to be mold. And I can see from the pictures, there's obviously a child living in that building. So I feel that that's a health hazard. So I think it needs to be remediated faster than that.
I have a question for staff. If we leave the original order standing, what's the next step?
Staff would be in the position to have this work done at the owner's expense or proceed with court action.
So given that,
Actually, forgive me, I think we would just be proceeding with repairs because we've already had this avenue of appeal, so we would just proceed with repairs being done on the property.
so what was your reasoning in recommending the June 7 date?
The reality is once we hit these property standards appeals, the date is already passed. So essentially, we're just giving a new date for understanding and clear, concise timelines. But with that being said, we would just fall back to the original timeline and we would be in the position to do that work at this time, as opposed to waiting until the June 7th date to check to see if any of the work had been done as per the new date. But if otherwise, we would just revert back to the original order date, which was Friday, April the 5th. So we're past our timeline at this point. We just always give a new date because we're already past the timelines by the time we hit these appeal meetings.
And why is the date? Is that a standard, like a month away? Or is
Yeah,
that-
we try to be reasonable and give a timeline that could feasibly get the work done. And we feel that this work wasn't such that it would take longer than that timeline to complete it.
It's my experience with, he would have a right to appeal this to a court?
To this, yes.
It's my experience with courts is they want to see groups and staff be as reasonable as possible. No
Which is
matter-
why we tend to give that, why we proceed with a later date, yes.
So that if it does wind up in a court, if he takes the city to court over this, then they're much more agreeable if you've sort of taken extra steps to try to make it as reasonable as possible. And that's why I suggested the.
Apologies
going
for
along
the
with what staff
interruption,
say.
but Mr. Karuba has finally joined us this evening.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's going to participate or if he's just viewing.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sorry, I'm just having a little bit technical difficulties. I had my online activities hacked. It's a little bit hard for me to get back.
Mr. Karuba, we're having a hard time hearing you. We asked maybe if you could hold your device still so that the microphone's not being muffled. That way everyone can hear you.
Okay, is it better this way?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I joined today. I'm trying to see if we can get some more time to get the job done at the 41 B Street.
Go ahead. Had he had contacted you when you guys had notified him of the meeting, would you have already granted the extension without going through this meeting? To that June 7th or 27th date?
Okay. To that June 7th?
I'm talking to council on this one, to the city.
Yes, if we had confirmation that work would be done done at that date, we would have given an extension.
May I ask a question as well? I'm just looking through the photos that were presented to us, and maybe Mr. Karuba can speak to this. I'm seeing a lot of like drywall repairs, and I'm just curious, when you purchased the property, was the drywall like that and you continued to keep it that way, or is this a new development?
Honestly, this property had a lot of damages since we got it, and it had a lot of issues. And this is why we're working so hard with my lawyer, with my architect, to see what's the best to address all of these issues. And this is like we've been doing this for the past 1 year, and we're coming to the end of it almost. To address a lot of issues. It's not only these few issues you guys have over there. There's a lot of much bigger issues, which the heat is not contributed properly along the property. There's all other issues we're trying to deal with it. And we were very, like, we talked to Mr. Harvey about it. And we've been like telling them, it's just, it takes time. Things like this, it takes a little bit of time to address. Plus, we do have an issue with the city of Quinte that this property was registered as a 3-unit, and we bought it, like we bought it as 5 units. So we are trying to see what's the legal address for this property. So we've been dealing with a few different issues since we got this property 3 years ago. And we are working on it. Like there is some stuff that it needs to be addressed right away, like a water problem, like a heat problem, and there is some stuff that can be held on a little bit until we get all the things, all the information properly.
I would say my concern, I guess, is the water problem and what you're doing to immediately remediate that, because if it's water leak, you're going to have mold, and that's a really large health hazard. And I'm also curious if you've owned the property for a period of, I think you said 3 years, what steps you've taken during this time to make the repairs that you're telling us that you've made.
Like there is like a few times we had a problem with water, with clogged water lines, with leaking water lines, and all these issues, they've been dealt with immediately. We had a few issues with the heating. That was dealt with immediately. Whatever we have to deal with immediately, right away, I find somebody, whether in town, whether from out of town, and we get the job done right away. And there is some other stuff like a driveway repair or something. This doesn't need a immediate attention, or there is a steps. We do know that the stairs is 150 years old stairs, so of course it's going to have some dents and stuff for it. Even the railing, we do know that it's not the appropriate height. So, like these things, like, this is where we are between the legal to find out what's the best scenario to tackle all these problems.
When you purchased the property, did you have a building inspection done?
No, we did it ourselves. I own a construction company, so I went with a couple of my tradesmen, and we checked the property. And then, like the first side, it seems that okay, we did hear from some of the tenants some of the problems, but again, in the first impression, it's not as much. So you don't get the full picture until you start dealing with it.
Sorry, sir. These requests from the city staff, I believe, can be temporarily remedied. I'm not convinced from what you've told me that there's a reason to wait until you do all of the repairs. You've not provided the city with any timeline at all for what you're talking about. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I was just saying couple of months until maybe July something. Mid to end of July maximum. We should be able to address these things. At the same time, um, when they requested those ones, it was still winter. Usually, every summer, and all the tenants know that every summer we take 2 3 months to issue to address any of these issues in that property. So usually from May until August, we do all these repairs. If there is anything needed to be done, we do all of this between May and August.
Well, I hear what you're saying, I just don't see that you've done that based on the photos and the descriptions we've received from staff.
But these photos and descriptions, they came in March and when was it? And these issues wasn't there last year. Like there is some of them. Okay, which one we're talking about? If it's the drywall, it wasn't there last year. I don't know what Mr. Harvey does, because lots of times lots of times we had an issues coming in the unit. Lots of time we come knock on the door, he doesn't let us in. We dealt with this with Mr. Harvey few lots of times, and it was very hard to get my crew in to do the job. And sometimes we are able to. So there is it's not only on us. There is sometimes it wasn't like we go to do the job and we're not allowed to go in. It's a process.
Well, I just, you're not convincing me that sidewalk has not become like that since March 5th. That's been an ongoing problem for some time, sir, as well as some of these other things such as the steps and that. I think they could be made safer without too much work before you get into wholly replacing everything. And they've obviously been in that condition, it looks like, for some time. I don't know exactly how long. And things like the leak have to be addressed immediately, so I can't see having the tenants wait until your business has everything, all the ducks in a row, and wants to do the whole business. I understand you want to renovate the building, but in the meantime, it has to be kept to a certain standard.
Okay. And now the sidewalk is the first time he complained about it.
That may be so, but it's something you saw when you bought the place, and it's something you saw every time you've been there since.
I would have to agree, like if you had come to this meeting and you had photos to share of remediation that you had made during the, the process leading up to this meeting, I think I would be more inclined to show some leniency, but you don't have any evidence for us that you've made any repairs. And looking at these pictures, you obviously would have been aware when you purchased this building 3 years ago that it was not in great shape, and you chose not to get an external building inspection. So the water is really concerning, and I would think as the owner, you would want to remediate that right away, because that is essentially creating a much larger problem for you down the road.
We did replace all the, since we got this building, we replaced all the windows on all the property. There was extensive damage in all the bricks, in the exterior bricks of the building. We did repair all of these repairs we've done. There is a lot we've done to the building since then, but like we were doing from like whatever we can. So we were able to cover all the walls, outside walls, so we can seal this building, because the draft and the cold was going inside, it was unbearable. So this is the first step we took, and then we were starting in other things, but like, it does
Mr.
take,
Karuba, can I just interject for a second, because I just have a quick question? It's just I'm directing it to council. Have you received any evidence from the homeowner that they've made repairs since March? Has anything been put forward, like receipts, photos, anything from the tenants that are currently there?
Through you, no, we've received no updates from the owner about repairs that have been done. In contact with the tenant who originally made the complaint has indicated that no work has been done.
no, for the most recent work they were asking me to, no, we haven't done it. We were waiting until the weather gets better, and now the weather is better, and now we will do everything we can to fix these problems.
Just wanted to ask you too, like, do you have a plan? You mentioned an architect before, and I'm assuming this person has a lease, so at the end of that, if they're unwilling to move or whatever, is your intention just to renovate the whole building, and you have I guess, a business plan for that on when you're planning on having the tenants removed, and then come to the city with your drawings so you can get a proper building permit? And
I did already. This is where I found out that this building it's registered under 3 units instead of 5. When I came to the city and I spoke to the planning department, and they told me like I came up with the initial plans only, and that's when they told me it's a 3 units, it's not 5. And now we were talking to a lawyer, and we are trying to see what dealing with in that matter. But like this is like this doesn't have to do anything with us running the building at this time. This plan may take 3 years, may take 5 years. So these tenants, like you are absolutely right, they have to be able to live not peace, with a certain conditions.
I have a quick question. You had mentioned that when you purchased the building, it was registered as having 3 units, and now there's 5. So when you purchased the building, and I'm assuming you did like some sort of walkthrough, because you said you did your own building inspection, how many units were in there at that time?
That when we purchased the unit, we purchased it as 5 units. We did
And there
not
were,
purchase
there were
it as
5 in there at the time, but when the sale went through, it indicated there were 3?
No, it went as 5. Everything from 3 years ago until last May, it was, or everything, it was as a 5 units. Until I spoke to the planning department last year, and that's when they informed me it's registered in the city as a 3 units. That's the only time I found out about it. 2 years later. So we have a legal battle to see what's like. How do we determine which 3 is the original and which 2 to apply for? And like there is a few things we are dealing with that the tenant doesn't know about.
Okay, Sarah, do you have anything else that we haven't heard already that you would wish to add to this?
No, it's just like these repairs will be done. Like I can assure that everything will be done in that report, if not more, by end of July. We shouldn't have any issues addressing any of these issues.
But according to this, the property standards order with an amended compliance date of June 7th, and you want that pushed forward to July, even though there's water.
June 7th, we can address the photo right away. I can that's the water thing, the water leak I can address right away. Uh, but when I say July, I'm talking about everything else in the list.
Well, sir, I'd be more comfortable had you provided some sort of information to staff describing what you were going to do when. You haven't provided anything to them. They seem to have difficulty reaching you to communicate back and forth with you. So it just causes me to have not strong confidence when you say you'll have it done right away. There's nothing here in front of me to give me confidence that that is exactly what you will in fact do. Where I think an order giving you a date will prompt you to probably do some work. And my co-members here on the committee, we had a motion forward before you joined. It wasn't seconded at the time. So I'd like to know now if that motion will be seconded or if a different motion will be put forward.
Sorry, I don't understand what's the seconded.
Just to clarify, that was the motion for the order 24021.
So the motion on the floor is that the committee confirm property standards order 24-021 with an amended compliance date of June 7th, 2024, That would also be with the inclusion of the water leak in the upstairs bedroom. We had a first movement on that of Greg. Do we have a seconder for that? Okay, so at this time, that motion is not moving forward. Do we have any other motions we'd like to bring to the floor?
I'm going to offer up a motion that from this date, we offer 2 weeks for the repairs to be completed.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Okay, perfect. All in favor? Motion's been carried.
Do we have any other business? Do we have any correspondence for committee decision?
Well, can we clarify, you said 2 weeks, but could we clarify with the date, please?
Is there any other new business or any new business? Can we call for an adjournment?